seems pretty standard.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Does anyone want to hit the slate?
Hi, I'm Cyril Stokes. I am a director and a screenwriter, and I mainly come from a theatre and drama background, and I've gotten into films. I've been here since the past 4 years, and I'm just trying to get some films made and work in this field, and hopefully I make it.
Okay.
So my name is Shishir Ray. I'm a director and a writer, mainly a screenwriter. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I like telling stories, and that's it. That's pretty much it.
Mainly starts with inspiration in that sense.
Okay.
Like you, especially when you're writing, like it starts with inspiration. Like you think of something or you're inspired by something and you're moved by something and you're that passionate about it, you just want to like put it into like work, right? You want to put it into words, you want to like write it down, make something out of it, see if it's worth it. And so mainly I feel like it starts with that, and then you work your way to like your process, however you write. Like each person, each writer I feel like has a different way of writing and stuff like that. So when it comes down to that, I feel like writing inspiration, when it comes to your process direction, it's how you believe, how much you believe in your characters, in your script, in in your vision for what you want it to be, and into executing that. So if I truly believe in like a character or like a script or a process, even whatever, in the entire thing, I would probably start with like if I like my vision for it.
So for me, it basically starts. It starts really simple. I'm kind of a shy and very silent sort of person. So I like observing a lot of things that happen around me. So for me, it's basically if I like seeing something that has happened around me and just clicks, then I like write that down on my phone and my notes, and then I go about it from there. So I can't work like on an everyday basis. My writing is usually something that I need to sit for at once for like 11, 12 hours. I can't really space my writing out. So it's basically like how you studied in college, like don't study the entire year but then cram everything out like 7 hours before the paper. So that's basically how I write. Like, so I've got to be at it for like a good 7, 8 hours at once, and then just keep going from there. And just basically stories I think that are happening already around me, and if it pulls me towards it, then I just take it from there and then I just write from there. Maybe anywhere, anytime, from rave parties to like meditation gatherings, I'll go anywhere. For me, sometimes even swiping Bumble profiles are like just getting to know different kinds of people. Like you just know what they like, what they don't like, what kind of people they are. So
that's a very important part of
people.
Like, different kinds of people, and just somebody to like spark your, like, oh, okay, that's somebody very different from what I've seen. So that's it. Presentation, right?
Okay.
It comes down to like book and cover. So like if you like, I don't know how you would find personalities intriguing. Like obviously there are many different kinds of people, and like you can't like get to know a person in the first basis. Like you can't see them and be like, oh, I know this person. So I feel like if you're like intrigued by a person, by like in the very start, you want to get to know them more. So I feel like in that sense, if like a person presents themselves in a certain kind of way that's different or peculiar, then you want to know more. If you're a intriguing kind of person, if you're that kind of person who wants to know more, then if like you see a person that presents themselves a certain kind of way, then you're like, maybe like I want to know more of like, yeah. So that's it.
And for me, it's basically the small things a person does. Like two hot-headed people can't be the same two hot-headed people. They might yell at someone a different way. They might react a different way. So it's basically these small things that people do. Like if someone might hold a cigarette like this, someone might hold it like that. So it's just those small. Basically, just get to know a little bit of them, and then try thinking of them in a situation you might put yourself in. And then you have like a completely different sort of situation and a thing building up because they won't react the same way you do. And it's those minute details of a person that actually changes the person. Because overall, a person can be happy, a person can be sad, but then it's the small things that they do between that I think actually defines them as who they are. Yeah, so then you create a situation that complements both of them.
Okay.
You got to create, at least what I learned through my entire process of writing, that when a movie starts, the person doesn't end the same way.
Okay.
Right. So there has to be something that basically gets the audience involved into following what that person has been going around the entire movie. So it probably might happen like a person starts off happy, but then through his story something might happen that completely changes him as an individual. He's probably not that happy person anymore. So it's basically about trying to get your characters in a situation that helps them grow as humans in that story.
Also, in that sense, I feel like character studies are very important.
Yeah.
Like when you have like people who you suggest are like two poles apart in that sense. So much of the script in that sense matters, and how much work you put behind the characters. Like before we start writing anything, we write like character studies of like stuff that's not even mentioned in the script, stuff that's not even, you never show it, but like just for context, so you know how a character will grow throughout the script. So you have an entire background that you have somehow fabricated and made up in your brain, that you said that this character comes from here, does this and feels this way. Every small minute detail that would be helpful to the actor playing the character, and for you to keep in mind when the script comes in. So in that sense, like so much of what is not going to be shown, you put in the work there because you want to stay true to your character and the script.
Because a lot of characters are basically made up of your imagination of things that you wanted to do. Basically, you wanted to probably get accomplished, or you probably thought you were grow into a person that person was. So a lot of your characters are basically figments of your own imagination. And you always got to make sure, this is what at least I always make it a point, that it's ultimately the character who makes the decision. It's not me as a writer who's making that decision for him. Because then you confuse yourself and the character. You can't look at yourself in your character unless you're writing a biography.
That's also like a mistake that a lot of people do.
You gotta let the
when
character.
you start writing from personal experience. So everything you write is basically like you see yourself there. You see that, oh, this is probably me. But like what comes like when you write and keep on writing, you sort of learn that you're more in love with the storytelling of it and not of yourself doing it. So
because like I said, I like observing people. So for me, that it's always flowing. I never technically take a break from it because I'm always looking at what people do around me. I'm always looking at what kind of situations they put themselves in. So for me, technically, that never dies because I'm always observing people. I'm never going to change as a person. I'm always going to look at how people behave. So yeah, for me, that won't change. But it's also that you got to keep at it. You got to keep writing. Read as many books. I don't read books. I genuinely don't read books. Because in my interview also I got asked do you read? I said no, and they really judged me because apparently to be a writer you have to read, which I don't understand. But it's cool. Like I watch my movies, I watch my shows, I do my bit. So that for me is enough. So yeah, it's just. Yeah.
But in that sense, I feel like reading, is very important and stuff. And I'm sure it must have been important like back then, way more than it is now.
Because there were no films made.
Now there is so much of content, in that. So much of content. Anything that would be written would be displayed on screen by now. So you can find anything to watch, which makes process easier for some. You sort of learn, right? In that sense, observation, I feel like, is the biggest thing for any person in the arts, because you see something and like you're just like, that feeling of, and then you want to know more. And in that sense, like the more you observe, the more you feel like this is intriguing. I could probably do something with this. So,
and once you observe something, and you really are fascinated with what you observe, 210% of the times when you're writing, that is going to come by and flash your mind. Because it is just going to come by your head, and you can then just print that exact same situation in the movie. and people will not know if it's happened in real life or if it's not.
Yeah, that's
Why you gotta keep writing, because then that mind keeps working. And also another thing that I learned was that there are only 22 to 25 main storylines in this entire world, and every movie is just a rendition of those basic 20 to 25 stories that have already been written like hundreds and hundreds of years back. That's why for me, Ramayana and Mahabharata, they're the best stories ever told. I can genuinely not see them as facts, because they've been written and constructed so well that they are actually the most perfect stories told when it comes to emotions, when it comes to people.
I always say this, that Shakespeare didn't leave anything for us.
Yeah, he did. He genuinely did.
He did everything, and our only job now is to come up with ideas and do things that we feel like we want to, but make it different. Like nothing that will be done has not been done.
That's just your magic. Then you just gotta use what you have a little bit in yourself.
Give your spin
give it
to
your,
it.
yeah.
Give it your
Put in your massage.
Yeah.
your own
Correct.
little thing.
Yeah.
Correct. To keep it short, we enter it right at the beginning and we'll exit it right at the end. There will come a time where we'll at least give it a look, the entire. Because we, as writers, we will be on set as well. We will try improving every small bit that we can in a screenplay. We'll try talking to the actors if the director wants, if we have to convey to them a certain emotion that they're not able to. So, in that way, we technically fall into every process, that's the pre-production, production and post-production. Not as much as in post-production, because then that becomes the director and editor's job.
If you're only a writer, then you have to make sure that the director also understands where you're coming from, and then you also have to be fine with letting the director put his own spin on it, because obviously he will have a separate vision.
Because ultimately he's telling your vision, he's portraying what you have in mind, so you have to keep him happy also. And for every project also, you can't basically do it with the same people, because so now if I'm making a horror movie, I would rather sit with an editor who likes editing horror stuff. And if I'm making a coming of age drama, I can't sit with someone now who edits horror.
And nobody feels bad in this sort of field, because at the end of the day, you know that there's a story that needs to be told. That's the most important thing. So there's no best person.
Because it's not like surgery, right? There's no two ways about it, or there's no other way about it at all. It's not fixed. That's the worst part about it. Because even if I make a movie one day, I can't make my second movie the same way I made my first movie, because it's not portraying the same things that I want the first movie was portraying. So it's every time it's
just like a subtext of no hard feelings.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit into fashion as well.
Okay.
So I would like designing and all that, for character designing and just all of that. And also I've done a little bit of theatre. I directed 2 plays. So it's basically in this only. So it's either costuming or it's theatre.
For me, I feel like I would get into editing a little bit, because so much of magic comes in there. So much editing has so much in it. You can do whatever you want and create something, and just it's a whole other world, and it really excites me in that sense. To be able to.
I despise computers as work.
I'm so technologically challenged, so my answer doesn't make sense for myself. But if your question is hypothetical, right? So if in a hypothetical world, I would do editing, I would try to do editing.
Typing becomes difficult on a laptop.